This Sunday we have a special sermon for you that I'm not doing, but that the youth are going to help and lead. So I invite the youth and Shauna to come up and sit up here in the front row, so they're ready for that part. And here's some microphones. They're on already. So we, last Sunday, what time did you guys get back? Monday morning at 2 a.m. Monday morning. Last Monday morning, we got back from Houston. And if you were able to watch any of the live streams or see any of the updates that we posted online, it was an amazing trip. Though I have to tell you, the first 12 hours were beyond stressful. We got to the airport and the ticket thing said they didn't have any record of my ticket. Got all them checked in just fine. Took a while to find my ticket. Got down to Houston and it took us, 2 hours to get our car rental? It was a headache. But after the week began, it was beautiful and amazing, and we heard over and over and over again about the amazing ways that God changes everything in our lives. And so today, the youth and Shauna are going to talk about each of the days of our trip, starting Tuesday and Wednesday, and going through the whole week and telling you what we did and sharing you all the blessings that we saw. And hopefully, as you listen, you will hear an overabundance of good news from this trip. But I'm going to videotape this while we're at it. I'm using it for audio so that when I make the video for you guys, some of this can be audio in there. I'm not sharing this out. Don't worry. I have to call him. I'm not sharing this out. Don't worry. Okay. So whoever's first, the two of you come up and stand up here on the first step. Yeah. And while they talk, we have a slide of videos. It won't go the whole time. A slide of pictures. It won't go the whole time, but you guys can see some of the pictures from the trip.
Okay, so the first day we got there, and it was my first day flying, so I was pretty freaked out about it, and I'm not a fan of it now. So we went to the NASA Museum, and we saw many different ships like the ones in the pictures.
We all went on 2 different tours. The boys went on a mission control tour. The boys went on a mission control tour thing where they take you around the whole campus area and just show you around. And then at one part you get off the vehicle and you go into the mission control building, and they showed us where they used to have the mission control and they're refurbishing it. And the girls went on a different one that I don't remember what it was. The training facility. Yeah.
And then that night we went to an escape room, and we passed it pretty well and pretty fast.
So the first night, Wednesday night, was at our first math gathering, and we weren't supposed to get the floor, but we got lucky enough where they were still letting people down when we got in there. So we got the floor that night, and you got to dance around, and it was a lot of fun.
Hello? All right, so as you guys are seeing now with the packaging stuff, so we went to was it a residence, I would say? The center. So we went to a center where differently abled people stayed and lived there. And to kind of assimilate the differently abled people to the real world, they would create jobs for them. And at those job sites, we actually helped out. So there was a packaging center where we packaged posters and stuff. And it was actually really difficult. I'd say I messed up about 50 of them. So I kind of created a trouble for the people there. But Pastor knows, yeah. He was trying to help the guy out while I was messing up all the posters. But yeah, it was...
One part of it was putting stickers on the boxes, so they would ship out the posters that they were putting in the boxes to different places. And then they put tiny posters, which were a lot easier to roll up, and put in the boxes in there too.
Yeah, and I just thought it was a really rewarding situation, and I just love seeing all of the people's faces, smiling, being happy. They were really welcoming to us, which showed God's love at that place, and it was really amazing.
If you guys know about handicrafters that Warren Straw-Snyder does, the thing that we were doing down there packing posters is very similar to what handicrafters is. Warren Straw-Snyder is one of our older members.
So after we were done that, we played a big game of kickball with them. And so when you guys think of kickball, you would think it's very competitive. They have it so everybody's helping each other, and it was fun because it wasn't competitive, and yeah. They weren't really keeping score either, or outs.
Yeah, it was really awesome. And then that night, we went to the mass gathering, and we got on the floor again, and it was also a really amazing experience. And there were a lot of great speakers. One speaker used to be anorexic, and she shared her story and how she triumphed over it, and it was really it gave us hope, I feel like, and it showed how God's love transformed her.
And before that, in the day, we were at where all the games, it was Gaga Ball, I forget what it was called. It had all the inflatables, they had the rock wall, which we did that day. Me and Pastor Tyler are the only ones that did it. I'm the only one that got to the top. It was very hard because the rocks, they were rounded, not able to get gripped on very easily. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that was day 2.
So then on the 3rd day was interactive day. And so that was when there was this huge arena center, not arena, but a big building just filled with a lot of booths that were basically just Lutheran ministries. And that was really impactful. There was a lot of, I went to one that was about the whole issue in Israel and Palestine. And so I learned a lot about that. And it really taught me that people are trying to make a difference, and that there is hope, and people are doing something. And so there was a lot of cool things. Talked to a lot of cool people. There was a blood drive there. We're not old enough to do that, but there was that. You could get your hair cut and donate it. There was bumper cars. There was a store, a Lutheran store, that had a lot of cool merchandise that we went shopping in. And then that was the day that we were in the mass cast. So in the mass gathering, we actually had to go early and rehearse because we were going to be part of the performance. And so we went early, we rehearsed 2 or 3 times, and we had this whole dance choreographed with how many other people? A couple, 1,000, wow, 1,000 other people. And so at the end of the mass gathering, we stood up and we did our whole dance, and it was really fun. We got shirts. So yeah, it was a good time. And that night, Nadia Boltzweber spoke, which was, I had never heard of her, but other people had, and she was a great speaker, amazing speaker, and so it was a good day. I remember she was talking about how everyone has this like ideal version of themselves, and how it's like their perfect person, and how like God doesn't love that person. God loves you with all of your mistakes and everything. Like he doesn't love that ideal version. He loves you, and so don't even try to be that ideal person. Like be yourself. And so I really took that to heart.
Okay, so on Saturday, right, we had Synod Day. Well, before that, we went to the mall, this huge mall. Just thought I'd put that in there. It was the Galleria. It's like the 8th largest mall in America or something. Yeah. Anyway, after that, we went to Synod Day, where we met up with all of the other youth from our synod, which is southeastern Pennsylvania. I don't know how many other kids there were. 500? Okay. So there, we did a lot of icebreaker activities, like different games, getting to know everyone better. Well, not everyone. There was 500 people, but, you know. Also, we did some other activities where we wrote our name on a rock, and then we put all of our rocks in the middle of the room, and then, like, at the end, we all picked up a rock, and there was somebody else's name on it, and you had to pray for the person on the rock, because, like, you didn't know who they were, but everyone prayed for a different person, and the point was to know that somebody was praying for you. What else did we do? Oh, also, the previous bishop, Claire Burkett, well, yeah, she's, you know what I mean. Okay, well, okay, presiding, sorry. She spoke, and she told the story of the road to Emmaus. Yeah. And Mom's going to tell us a little about that.
That's as far as she got. Okay, so, yeah, no, so we got to hear the bishop, the current presiding bishop, speak and told the story of Emmaus, the road to Emmaus. Which is one of my favorite stories. Like, I love the fact that in times of like hopelessness, Jesus is with us, but we a lot of times don't see that he's there because we just feel so utterly hopeless in things. And it's not until the breaking of the bread that he reveals himself and is like, I was there the whole time. And so it was nice to be able to hear her speak. So we did that, and that was Synod Day, pretty much. And it was nice to spend some time just with others that were in our area, because you meet people from all over the country. So I liked Synod Day in the fact that you knew everyone there was kind of from your area. So it was nice. And then that evening for the mass gathering was the last mass gathering was Saturday evening, and that was one of the most powerful mass gatherings for me. I mean, I said that every night. That was Tyler's like joke. I was like, this is my favorite speaker. And then like the next night, somebody else would be up. I'm like, this one's my favorite. Like, they were all just amazing. But going back and looking in comparison, like the last night was very inspiring. Like the place was filled with the Holy Spirit. It was awesome. The speakers, they had a lot of, there was a little girl who came out as being transgender. There was a bisexual that spoke, and it was all about inclusivity and just, loving people where they are and for who they are. And truly understanding that all are welcome. There's no limitations. And then we did like this wave of hope where everyone got their cell phones out and had their lights on, and like the whole 31,000 of us, the whole place was just filled with light. And it was pretty awesome. And then they had 10th Avenue North, which is a Christian band that was there, so we got to have fun every evening. It definitely was kind of like, it was ups and downs. You know, like you heard speakers and just were inspired and moved, and then in the next minute you were up and dancing and joyous, and it was overwhelming. I can't imagine what the experience was like for the youth, because as an adult it was amazing. I wish I would have had like a faith leader like Pastor Tyler growing up and had an experience like this, because I can see that it can truly, not to be cliche, but it truly can change everything. So it was amazing. So I'm very blessed. Thank you for the opportunity to go along with you and experience that with you, because it was unbelievable. So, thank you.
So then Sunday morning was our final worship, which the words in our service today are words from last Sunday's service that we did down in Houston. And presiding Bishop Elizabeth Eaton spoke and did the sermon. But I am going to admit I was so exhausted by Sunday that I don't remember a word she said. But the video of her sermon is online, so I will go back and watch it eventually, because I'm going to be doing a lot of other things. And Shauna and Anna have to leave, and that's okay. They've got to jump out. Other things to go to as well this morning. I wanted to say some of the things that I particularly remember from the very end of the trip. That last Saturday and into Sunday, Saturday night, the teenagers asked, they said, why can't this type of what we're seeing here, not just the event, but the people, why can't the people who are welcoming and accepting and joyous, and they're like, they're playing a game of Ninja, and we said, can we join? They said, yeah, sure, get over here. And everyone's waving and hugging, and they said, why can't people be like this everywhere always? And that question really stuck with me. And then I loved it on Sunday. We were leaving, the kids, that they needed to wave at every single person we passed by as we left. And it was just like, it was beautiful to say that everyone we see, we love. And everyone we see, we welcome. And everyone we see, we accept. And we just are all together embracing each other in the goodness of God. And it is a really good question to ask. Why can't that type of thing be everywhere, always? Of the things they brought out from the trip, that was their personal insight that they brought back that I think was beautiful. So I'm going to invite them all to come right back up for a moment. What I'd like you to do is to share your number one highlight from the trip, not necessarily from the day you shared about, or something you took away from the trip that's going to stick with you going forward. Okay. Well, here we can. Guys, whoever wants to go first,
All right.
It doesn't matter.
Hello? Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay. So the number one thing that I learned from the trip is just to love everybody. Previously, I struggled sometimes to accept others, but after this trip and the Holy Spirit spoke to me during the last day, and just said, just love everybody, no matter who they are, no matter what they do. Just love everybody for who they are. And that's a huge thing that I took away from the trip.
Okay, I'll go. So previously mentioned was that the little girl that was transgender, and she really inspired me because she was only 11, and she was speaking in front of 31,000 people, which is just insane for me to believe. And she had so much motivation, and she was so inspired to work in the world, and she was so motivated. She was ready to change the world, and I just love that about her, and I want to be more like her.
My favorite was probably the working day when we went out to the center, because all the people that were there had so much hope. They were so happy to be there. Nobody was sad, depressed. It was so fun, and yeah.
Favorite thing from the week?
Okay. One of my favorite things from the week was probably being able to meet all these different people from like all around the world and everything. And it's really cool to meet everyone from different areas.
Did we get everyone from every state? We were trying to meet someone from every state.
Vermont, because that was the only state I was told by other gathering volunteers that there was nobody from Vermont. But every state was represented.
Everyone was from like Ohio and Minnesota. Like there were so many people from Pennsylvania. Everyone's from Ohio and Minnesota. There was a couple states that had everyone.
My favorite part was when one of the speakers brought out his 5-year-old daughter, and just to me, like a kid that young to come out in front of 31,000 people is insane.
My favorite part was when we did our mass cast. They said we had rehearsed it. We had rehearsed it for 3 hours. And the course of 3 hours, the first hour was just getting everyone seated into the right seats they needed to be in. Like, that was the whole first hour, wasn't it? We were sitting there waiting for everyone else to get seated. And then we only rehearsed the thing 3 times, but it was a 3-hour rehearsal. And we rehearsed it, and it was like, this is okay.
We messed up. We all heard like we couldn't get the choreography right. It was not great.
But then that night when we did that, when we actually went out there, and the shirts, the back said, "This is me." And so as we were walking up to the stage, everyone saw the shirts that said, "This is me." And then we all turned around, and the front side said, "Loved." And then we were doing our actions, our dance, and people over and over again came up to me afterwards and told me that was the best moment of the whole event. As I was on the plane, I went on a different plane because I went to Iowa. As I was on the plane, I was with different youth groups from other places, and they were all telling me, we loved that moment. That was our favorite, that mass cast. They said, you guys got those shirts for free. We had to pay $20 to get a shirt that just said loved on it. Because they loved that moment so much. And down there, I think all of us kind of agreed that when we actually did it, it was deeply meaningful and moving to actually be out there and doing that dance and that song and seeing everyone else join in, and it was a big moment. We got pictures from the event, and you guys have seen these, but you haven't gotten them yet because I kept them safe in my backpack. So you guys get a group picture from the trip. Also with us was Matthew Mueller from Durham Lutheran, from Evangelical Durham. So he's at his church today telling them about what happened there, but we really enjoyed having him with us on the trip. And then we have one more thing that maybe Caitlin, one of the Caitlins, if you guys would like to. Grab a mic.
So we had a lot of help from you guys from the community, helping us with all of our fundraising, helping us in prayer, and we really appreciate that. And we appreciate all of the help from Judy, who was helping us during our Easter candy baking. And so we got you a little something from the Lutheran store. So
yeah, come on up.
So the first thing is this nice thing to hang on your wall.
As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Thank you.
And I'm pretty sure that was made in Guatemala, handmade. At least this was.
That's by
El Salvador. Okay. That's kind of close. And then we got you this.
Oh my God. I'm shaking. I love making candy. I'm glad I got kids doing it, and I think they make pretty much. Oh, look at that. It's a cross. Very pretty.
So thank you so much for helping us.
We'll do it again next year. For whatever we have to do.
And thank you to all of you for all the love and support you gave us in preparing for this trip and being with us on the trip. Thank you all.